All right, guys, good afternoon and welcome back. All right, so in this video I want to show us how to cut kits Danshiki material, but then before we proceed to the top, I want to show us as well how to cut the stripe. Now, most of us might have issues on how to handle stripe fabrics. Now, all stripe fabrics must be placed from up to down. The stripe must go in this direction, and on no account should your stripe go the other way round, right? So your stripe must go in this direction. Then, having known this, now the first thing as well you need to know usually is to mark out your baseline at this part. Then after which you also make sure that the side seam lines are also straight. Then you mark out this line as well. Then when you must have marked out this line, now the next thing you will do now is to add extra 2 inches. The normal 2 inches we add for our folding or hemming of the trouser. Then you extend the line this way. You extend the line this way. Then after which you apply the boy's trouser length, which the length I have is a length of 23, right? 23 length. You mark the length of 23 this way, and then you mark. It's advisable to mark it 2 times in order for you to achieve a straight line at the waist region. You mark this way, and then you extend your line from here. Then once you have marked out this line, now the next you will do is to get your crouch. Now to get a crouch, you divide the boy's hips by 4. So the hip measurement I have is a hips of 28 by 4 is 7. From the waistline, you come down by 7 for your boy's crouch depth. Then you extend the line from here as well in this form. Then after which you now apply the real hip here, which is 7. You mark 7 here, then extra 1.5 or 1.7, but the maximum you can add here is extra 2. So you mark at 1.7 inches. It's very okay for me. Then the next you will do is to determine if this will be a rope trouser or a belt trouser. Whichever one you want to do, you are going to mark. But because of the fact that we have done English trouser before, so let us learn how to do the rope. So if you are doing the rope, you don't need to measure the waist of your customer. All you need to do is to use the hip and mark on the waist line, meaning the hip of 7, mark the line straight up to the waistline. It goes in this form. Then after which, from the hip, from the crotch depth as well, raise here by the same 1.7 you used on the Whitworth addition this way, and then 0.5 in diagonal form this way, and then you connect in this form as well. Then on rope trousers, you don't need to slant or slope the waist of the boy, right? Then from the ankle, mark 1.5 inch inwards or 1 inch, however be the case. If you want it to be more fitted, 1.5 is okay. 1 inch as well is still okay. Then extend this line to go straight from here, and then link it up to the crouch point. From here, link it up all through to the crouch point, and then apply the boy's ankle, which the ankle I have is 9, 4.5. Now in cutting, I will just cut at 5, should in case weavings might take a bit part of the fabric so that it doesn't shorten the real ankle measurement, right? So I have it to be 5 or 4.5. However, then extend this line to come up straight this way. Extend the line to come up straight this way, right? Now the extent of the line extension might be from 7 inches to 8 inches, depending from the 2 inches, right? 7 inches thereabout is okay. Then you take your hip curve, and then connect in this form. So you measure from here, you place your hip curve, and then you connect. Please note that these tools are very essential. You must use them for you to achieve a perfect connections always. Then this is how you mark the front panel. Then for the pocket position, I told us that to get the actual pocket depth notching you want, divide the total distance here by 2 plus extra 1. So 7 by 2 is 3.5 plus extra 1 is 4.5. So you mark it this way. Then for the up pocket, 1.5 is okay for me. And then this is how you are going to mark or cut the front panel. So I will cut out this, and then I will also show us how to mark the back. And then before we move over to the proper danshiki and how to achieve it the shoulder zips on the side, on the shoulder, and then how to play with the stripes for us to have a perfect finishing. Right now, don't forget that you are to watch this video more than once for you to be able to understand perfectly all the explanations I am making. It is advisable you use earpiece to listen to the video or to watch the video in order for you to pick all the necessary voice you need or the explanations you need. So you need to go all through this way. So you go all through this way. So this is how you will take your time to cut out everything you have marked out, then cut off the baseline as well. Then after this, the next you will do is to notch the pocket. You have to notch here 1/4 inch inwards this way, notch here as well 1/4 inch inwards, and then you try to get the fabric again this way, and then you turn it over to the other side and then place to cut the back. Now on rope trousers, you don't need to raise the back panel. You're not meant to raise the back panel. You're only going to make the back and front to be equal in height. But then on newborn babies, 1 year old or thereabout, that are still wearing pampers, you might extend them by 1 inch, right? Because of the fact that their buttocks needs to be covered. So after that, when you must have gotten to this stage, so the next you will do now is to extend the back panel by 1.5 or 1.7 is ideal. Then 1.5 or 1.7, extend it this way, extend it all through this way, mark it all through this way, and then use your pattern master, your hip curve as well, and then connect them in twos. Connect the first one here to the next one, and then the second one to the third one to fourth one, and fourth one to the last one. And then for the waistline extension, 1 inch is okay, 1 inch here, and then 1.5, 1.7 is okay as well. Then make a freehand connection in this form, and then come over to this side. So if you are making for a kid for like 1 year or 6 months or 8 months or 9 months, you might extend the waistline 1 inch in order for you to give room for the pampers or whatever you use to be covered properly. But for above 1 year plus or 2 years, you might not need to raise the back panel. So you cut from here, this way. It's a rope trouser, right? So you don't need to raise the back. It's optional to raise the back panel. So you cut all through from here. And then this is how you are going to cut all of your rope trousers for your boys, right? Please make sure you practice this as often as you can, and don't expect to achieve a best result at first trial. You need to do this twice, 3 times before your works will be neat as possible. Bear in mind that in as much as you might be making use of your children or your child to learn this, there will be a time you will need to sew for customers, and your neatness of your work will speak volume if you have developed the neatness already. So just make sure you don't leave your work to be untidy or rough. So this is the front and the back panel that is being cut. Then there's no need to mark chalk on the front and back because it is very visible that the blue stripe, the blue area is the front, right? So don't need to mark for chalk on the body. Then since it's a rope trouser, so we are going to cut the band, and there will be no need for the zip flap, right? So let us cut the band with this fabric left here. So now, since the hip is 28, that means we are going to have a band length that is up to 28. So I will make it to be a jointed band. So I will just mark, I will use the band finishing I want to have is 1 inch or 1.2 or 1.1. So 1 inch, then you have to divide by, you have to times by 2. You have it to be 2 inches for the front and the back. Then ½ inch to fold, 2.5, and ½ inch again, 3 inches. So the band measurement is 3 inches width this way, 3 inches width. Then by the length, that will be enough to cover your waistline circumference, because now we are using the hip as our rope, right? So you need to cut from there, cut all through that way, and then I'm going to slit from here. So I'm slitting from here. So I'm slitting from here. So slit all through from here. So slit all through from here. Then when you must have gotten to this stage, then you have slitted all through this way. This is the band, and then the next thing you will do is to get the pocketing. Now the pocketing measurements we are going to use, I'm using some fabric for my pocketing. How then do we derive or get the pocketing size? Now the pocketing size we are going to use will be measuring from this point and then a bit off from the midpoint. This is 7 inches, right? Then I have it to be, let's use 3.5. Then you times by 2, that's 7, right? So that means on fold is 3.5. Then the depth, you now push in 3 inches deep from the notching, you have it to be 7.5. So you have it to be at 3.5, 7.5 by 7. That's what we need. So you have your pockets folded in this form. So 3.5 is okay here, and then by 7.5. So I will just cut at 8 or 8.5 for the foldings, right? 8.5. Then this is how you cut your pocketing. You can now decide to curve the base. Curve the base in this form. Just curve the base in this form, this way. So curve the base and then open it up again, and then take one edge, then the notching we did was 4.5. So you can just notch at 4.5 inch deep by 1 inch or 3/4 inch this way. Slash out one edge. You must slash out this from one edge of it. Then that's for the pocketing for the trouser, right? Then we are done with the band and pocketing. So the last thing we'll cut is a rope, which I will show you guys how to fix the rope as well when we get to the sewing stage. So we are done with the trouser. Now the next video you will see will be on the danshiki, cutting, and then subsequently with the coupling aspects of this outfit for a boy. Thank you guys for watching.